Hey, what is going on, guys? Slick Joe here. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day as always. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about my thoughts on Black Ops 4 Zombies since it has been out for a little over a week now. There have been a few different updates and I feel like I've played the game enough to give my initial thoughts. Now, this obviously won't be my final review since I'm sure the game has a lot more changes to go through, so that will come much later and will be way more in depth. So feel free to drop a like and subscribe if you do enjoy the video, and let's jump right into it. Now, to start this review off, I first want to talk about the launch day. Now, this is obviously an important day for every game that releases because it's freaking when the game releases. Everyone gets access to it, and there's a lot of potential for things to go wrong. Between server issues or game-breaking bugs that slipped through the playtesting, there are an infinite number of different things that could happen to make for a bad launch day. As for Black Ops 4, I think the launch went pretty smooth, honestly. Everyone was able to connect and get on the game as far as I know, and there weren't any major bugs that prevented people from playing right away. On the zombie side of things, Treyarch also made the decision to lock the main Easter eggs until Friday at I think 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time it was. So that way everybody had kind of an equal chance to get the game, get familiar with it, and then the community could hunt all together at the same time. That way nobody really had an unfair advantage or anything, because when it comes to Easter egg hunting, that is kind of one of the most popular things about Call of Duty Zombies right now, and I really just think this was a great idea all around. I feel like it also allowed you to play the map and just kind of learn them at a more relaxed pace instead of feeling like you had to get on there and fly around like a nut job, trying to learn the map, find the Easter egg, and just making things really hectic. You could get on, play your first playthrough, just kind of relax, play the game, learn it, learn how to do all the power, pack-a-punch, all that kind of stuff, and then we could go at it hard with the Easter eggs that next day, or a few hours later, depending on when you got the game. So all things considered, I think the launch went pretty well, and honestly, probably one of the better Call of Duty launches that I can think of. Now, as for the game itself, there were a few major gameplay issues when it first launched. The dogs and tigers were insanely overpowered. Dogs spawned like crazy and were just super fast, and just it was just unreal and super annoying, and it just didn't really make for a very fun gaming experience. And tigers were kind of in the same boat, but they weren't really super fast. They just did a whole lot of damage. They could literally down you in one hit, and that is just annoying, and I feel like it's just something that should never even have been there to begin with. Now, the second major issue was the amount of health you got on normal difficulty. Now, if you don't know, there is no jug in this game. Black Ops 4 Zombies, they got rid of Juggernauts. There's no way to get extra health in this game, and the base that you started out with was 150 health, and then Zombies took away 50 health with each hit, so essentially that's a 3-hit down system, and you had that the entire game without an actual way to get more health, and it just proved to be a little more difficult and kind of annoying. And I'm pretty sure most of the community were in agreement that it is definitely needed to change. Luckily, Treyarch heard the community, and about a day later, they put out a patch nerfing the dogs and the tigers, and then also giving an extra 50 health to the player on normal difficulty. Now, in my opinion, this made the game a lot more enjoyable, and it just felt like normal zombies again. But as most of you know, sadly, the issues did not stop there. And as people began going for high rounds and progressing through the main Easter egg quests, the dreaded blue screen of death made its return. For really lack of a better way to explain this, the stability of this game was and kind of still is complete shit. The second you would get to about round 20 and above, there was a pretty good chance your game would crash, and the more players you had in your game also kind of seemed like it would have an effect and give you more of a chance of crashing. But to top it all off, the worst part was the fact that progressing in the Easter egg quest seemed to give you the highest odds of meeting a disappointing blue end, and caused some people to literally give up on the Easter eggs entirely. One of the most anticipated maps, Blood of the Dead, experienced probably the most frequent crashes and was really taking its toll on the zombies community. I mean, people were freaking pissed at this game. There are countless clips and screenshots online of people crashing and looking pretty defeated as a result, and I mean, honestly, rightfully so. When you're tirelessly hunting for a freaking Easter egg, that's like the main point of the map, and you're barely sleeping just to have your game end because of a glitch is just so frustrating. And in my opinion, this kind of stuff is just unacceptable. It cannot happen in a game like this. I get that making games is complicated, and one tiny change, like a little update or something like that, can literally break the entire game. So maybe a crash here and there is probably expected, but I mean, when you're a AAA game developer and there's so many crashes that it makes the main point of the game almost uncompletable, that is just unacceptable in my opinion. It's just something that definitely cannot happen when you're launching such a big game, such an anticipated game like Call of Duty Black Ops 4. It honestly really makes it hard for me to justify my decision to pre-order the game and get the Black Ops Pass, and it makes it even harder for me to recommend this game to anyone else. To add to that, there are a ton of other little glitches in the maps where character quotes don't play or parts of cutscenes bug out, which takes even more away from the experience and can even ruin it for some people in some occasions. Another YouTube had so many of his quotes bug out from the end of the Blood of the Dead Easter egg that he couldn't even appreciate what was going on at all because he was missing key parts to it and he couldn't really understand what was happening. He didn't get the full picture and wasn't able to really take it all in and appreciate it for what it was. And it's an amazing ending, but when you don't get the whole picture, it's hard to really just understand what's going on and really just appreciate what's happening because, I mean, you don't know. You're in the dark. You're clueless about it. And it's just things like that which can really ruin an otherwise amazing experience, and it just really hurts the game as a whole, in my opinion. Now, supposedly they are working on these crashes and various other glitches, so hopefully they can get everything smoothed out, but damn, it really took away from the Easter egg hunting experience and definitely made it far less enjoyable for everyone, I think. Now, all those issues aside, let's talk about the actual gameplay features themselves because, I mean, this game is pretty fun when you get down to it. Now, like I mentioned earlier, the first major change they made from the previous iterations of Zombies is the removal of Juggernog. Now, at first I was a little worried about this, especially when I saw that it was a 3-hit down system, but after they gave us that extra health and kind of hearing why Treyarch decided to do this, I think I'm okay with it now, and I kind of even agree with their decision. In Treyarch's eyes, Jug and a few other perks have become kind of clutch perks where every match you almost had to get them. It was like a requirement. That was just a thing you do. You'd load up and you knew you were going to get Jug or you knew you were going to get this other perk. And that's why they decided to get rid of them. They wanted to get rid of those clutch perks and force players to make more decisions rather than forcing them to use a certain perk or item. And I think this makes a lot of sense. I mean, why keep an item in the game that you use every time without fail? I mean, is there even a point in it being an item at that point? You might as well just make it a normal feature like they kind of did by giving us 4 hits till we go down. And then that way you can kind of promote the use of other perks and other strategies rather than that same old thing you're going to do every time you load into the game. Every time you go in the game, you know you're getting Jug, and it just kind of got old, and that's why they decided to get rid of it and kind of change things up. But that isn't the only change that they made to the features of the Zombies game mode. They changed a lot of other things around, and the perk system as a whole has kind of been just rebuilt from the ground up. So originally in the other games, obviously you would have like a bunch of perks on the map. You can only pick up 4 and you just have to choose which ones you want. Obviously you'd probably get Jug and maybe Quick Revive if you're on solo, and then Speed, Cola, Double Tap, whatever you choose to get, those are the ones that you would get. Now instead you have the created class system where you pick the 4 perks that you want, and those are the only 4 perks on the map, and you just go buy them. There's only 4 perks. You get to choose which ones they are and just go buy them when you need them. And I think that kind of makes an interesting kind of dynamic to the game, and I actually kind of like it. It's kind of sucky because you can't choose mid-game like you kind of used to be able to. I mean, in a way you can because they have a mystery perk, which will give you one of the other perks. It's kind of like the Wonder Fizz now. But overall, I've kind of come to terms with this change as well, and I kind of like it now. I'm not too bothered by it anymore. And then to go on into the created class system, like I mentioned, you can now pick your starter weapon. You get to pick a lethal weapon, so what kind of grenade you want. There's a few different options for that. You get to pick your what are like gobblegums now, but they're called elixirs, I think. And then you can also pick your talisman, which is kind of like another part of a gobblegum. And it's just kind of like a whole new system for adding different effects to you in the game, which I just think is good all around. You no longer have the kind of gobblegum system where you pick a few of those. You now have this elixir system, which is pretty similar, so not much of a difference there, except for the fact that you do not have to buy them out of a machine. You just have them and they kind of regenerate. And then speaking of regenerating, that is kind of the way everything works in this game. You throw your grenades and then they slowly regenerate over time. You use your gobblegums and they slowly regenerate over time. And then you can just kind of keep using them as they regenerate. And I don't really see a problem with this. Seems fine to me, this whole regeneration thing. I'm not too worried about it. It's not that big of a change or anything, so I'm fine with it. Now, the next big change that they do have is now the specialist weapons. So there are 4 different options for specialist weapons, and they kind of work like they do a multiplayer. You have a weapon, you hit both of the bumpers, and it's kind of like a nice power-up that can get you out of trouble. Usually when you use it, you're invulnerable to zombies at first, and then you get a little extra health, which is nice. And I think this is a pretty cool change too. It feels like you're meant to kind of rely on that specialist weapon when you get into tight situations, and you're really supposed to use that effectively, and I think that's cool. It brings a different dynamic to the game, and I really like this addition. So overall, I think all the changes they made so far, I'm pretty okay with. There isn't too many things I have to complain about that gameplay-wise. Obviously, at first it was kind of rough, but I'm glad they made those fixes to the health and the dogs and all that stuff. And the game seems to play a lot better now. Obviously, there's still more tweaks they can make and things they can improve on, especially some of the solo Easter eggs. The steps are just kind of wild for a solo player, so hopefully they kind of do something about that. But that'll be for another video. But overall, I am pretty okay with all the changes that they made. There aren't too many things I really have to complain about that gameplay-wise, aside from all of the glitches and bugs, which are just, I already talked about that, but you know how that goes. But I mean, the actual gameplay changes, the way they're supposed to function, I kind of like them. I'm coming to kind of get used to them now, and I think they're all pretty good. Now, to end it off, I'm going to talk about the thing you guys have probably all been wondering is the game worth it? Do you think I should buy it? Is it fun? Do you like it? Do you regret buying it? Do you not regret buying it? All that stuff. And I can't say that I regret buying it. I think the glitches really just hurt it a lot. Those blue screens are just super unfortunate and just really ruined what otherwise could be an amazing experience. I mean, they packed a ton of content into this game between the challenges. They got events for zombies. There's 3 maps and 4 if you got the Black Ops Pass. And there's just a ton of stuff to do. And the maps themselves are really great. They just kind of were really hurt by those glitches, and that is just a hard thing to overcome when the main part of the game release is everybody trying to hunt the Easter egg, and that is one of the things that's bugged the most. And it really just is unfortunate, but I still think the game is fun. I think maybe you should wait a little bit if you haven't bought it yet till they iron out a few more of those glitches, but eventually definitely want to get the game. I think it's definitely worth it. It's a lot of fun, and I've been enjoying playing it so far, but playing it non-stop, so I can't really say that I haven't had fun because I definitely have. But that is just my opinion, and that is my take on the game. Definitely go down in the comments below and let me know what you guys think of it. If you have the game, what do you think? Do you think it's worth it? Did the glitches ruin it for you? Or maybe you didn't experience any of them. Sometimes people don't really get too many of the glitches, and maybe you're fine with it. Let me know down below. I'd definitely be interested to hear that. But that is going to do it for this video. Hope you guys did enjoy. Like, subscribe, hit the bell, all that good stuff. Thank you so much for watching, and I better be seeing you in the next one. Catch you later.